This one's going to be a little different. I'm completely off script. I don't make a script for most of my videos. I usually have some talking points and notes and such. But I was just thinking about this today and just wanted to shoot it down on video. And the thing is that I see folks out there and they're always talking about how they can't get ahead. And this was a big reason why I started this entire channel, because a lot of things I talk about on here are kind of counter to what the majority of the people are doing. And folks are going out and they're doing exactly what everyone else has done. They're doing exactly what people tell them to do, and they're coming up with exactly the same just awful results. And this is the typical go to high school, go to college, start working a job, start trying to pay off that college debt that you racked up in enormous amounts, work until you're 65, 70, maybe, never retire, and then die basically. And they're frustrated because they can't do the things that they want. They can't do the things with their free time. They're not getting the things that they wanted to have. These jobs that they were promised aren't coming true. They can't afford houses. They can't afford any of this. And the thing is that the people just continue to go down this path of this exact same thing for forever. I still see people that are like, my kids they're going to have to go to college. They're going to have to do this, and there's no other thing, even though it didn't work for like a large portion of the population. They're going to just keep doing it. Now, it did work back in the the boomer generation that everyone likes to hate on. And I hate getting into generational feuds because it's just silly. It worked for them, getting a degree and doing all those things and just that typical path. That worked because at the time, degrees were rarer than they are now, and they gave that advice to the next generation because that's the best advice that they could have possibly given. But now that it's saturated in that market, the college degree heavy market, it's not the best advice. So what I'm getting at here is I wanted to tell you guys about how the way I did my life, because I have done almost everything counter to what people told me that I should do. And the reason is I started thinking about a lot of these things, especially when I was in high school and when I was in, getting ready to graduate. I really didn't enjoy school, like formal education. And so I started thinking this isn't for me. And it didn't really make a lot of sense to go into a giant amount of debt for this degree to get this, job that's, at the time, back when I would have graduated college in 2006 or ish, had I have gone. And, so that would have been a $35,000 to probably $50,000 a year job. And it didn't make any sense for me. So I remember sitting down with my high school guidance counselor, and I said I was either going to either join the armed forces or I was going to just not go to college and do some sort of trade work or something like that. And as much as you were sitting on the other side of that camera today, she looked at me and she said that you will be a failure if you don't go to college. And we'll get to the end of that story, but it couldn't be farther from the truth. And when I was, like I said, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about all this debt that I was going to incur to go to college, and it didn't make any sense to me. And so what I did was I just started working right away. And I don't know if this was a good idea or not. When I was, 15, I got a job. I missed out on a lot of social activities and such, but I started working immediately. And then pretty much as soon as I graduated high school, I started looking for full-time employment so I could, get health care and all that stuff that, people say is so expensive. I started working for a local government in their public works, and I was able to get in their pension system. I was able to get health care, and I'm like, early 20s, like 20, something like that, 21. And I'm in this system, and I have all the things that I'm looking to do, and I'm not burdened by a giant student loan debt payment. So I am at this point debt free. I'm not married, no kids, no nothing. I have a full-time like $36,000 a year income, which is pretty good for in 2004, 2005-ish, and things are going well. And so, I meet the love of my life, get married, and all that such. And we start looking at buying a house. And this is the one time that I just went with the way everyone else should go. That I was going to buy a duplex, and I was looking at a threeplex, and I was going to buy it and rent out the other things. I'd never heard of house hacking. I'd never heard of multifamily investing, real estate investing at this point. I just said this sounds like a good idea because then I could just cover the mortgage and live for free. We ended up not doing that, and we bought a single-family house, and it worked out because even though we bought it at the peak and we sold it in a recession, we ended up making some money on that. it just ended up working out. And that's the way a lot of things do in life. And so I decided that I wanted to get into another career path with local government. I went and got a trade degree, a trade certification, I guess is what you would call it. And that opened doors for me. And it only took like 10 months to do. I paid cash for it. It's like a $6,000 certification at a local university. I took that and I was able to get pretty much the job that I had wanted, the job of my dreams. And I was able to put myself on path to retire by the age of about 42, just based on the pension system there. And again, healthcare, security, all the things that people are looking for without any college debt whatsoever. And so as I was going on in life, we hit the Great Recession, and the housing market fell out. And at that time I was like, hey, these houses are pretty darn cheap, these investment houses. And people were like, no, don't get into real estate, you'll lose your butt, tenants won't pay, you'll have clogged toilets, you'll be annoyed all the time with phone calls. And I said, yeah, but this seems like a good deal. So I went ahead and did that. And I, again, went against the grain on this one, started buying a couple real estate deals, and used that and started, as they would go up in value, we'd sell them, we'd buy something that was, more expensive. And we started off with just like an $18,000 house, purchased that, and went up from there. We've taken that amount of money now in those things, in buying, better and nicer houses over time. And we now have an Airbnb portfolio that's worth about $1.4 million, with only about a total of $46,000 invested into it, altogether of our own personal capital. And because we were investing in real estate when everything else was falling apart, when everything else was, when people were saying don't do it and don't get into real estate, we've been able to do that. Now we have a business that generates, somewhere between $175,000, $200,000 of gross revenue a year, and we take home 30% of that, and then we have quite a bit in reserves, so that just continues to build up so we can buy more properties. And it's just another one of those things where I went against the grain, and it paid off in a big way. And now on my stock market investment, because a lot of this, this is a money channel, and so we talk about money. There's some other things I did in my personal life that were against the grain, but on the stock market thing, most people are going to be investing their money into 401ks or Roth IRAs or even traditional IRAs or whatever. And I skipped all of that. I started buying just S&P or total U.S. market funds, and I bought them in a taxable account. And the reason I did that is because I don't like people telling me what to do. And I don't think really anyone likes people telling you what to do. But I was able to take that money and just let it grow in there. And it's basically tax-free until you sell it. There's qualified dividends and stuff that you get taxed on, but it essentially grows tax-free, and you just only pay tax on it when you sell it. But having that money available to use at any time, instead of being locked in and not being able to withdraw that money until I'm over 60 or 59 and a half, or paying a giant penalty, a 10% penalty, plus paying tax on that if it's in a 401k or a traditional IRA, that's allowed me to build up a giant amount of money that I can use for investing in more real estate. So as opportunities come to me, I can use that money and in put it to work in other opportunities, mainly real estate. And that's totally against the grain of put your money in these tax-deferred accounts, let them grow for 40 years, and then retire older and poorer than you ever could possibly really want to be. And so that's just another one of these things where I was like, I'm not doing what everyone else is doing. I'm going to do this, and it's paid off for me in a huge way. Same thing with all these social media channels. I have 3 YouTube channels. I have this one, Everyday Money. I have a one of my outdoor stuff, Rugged Adventures. So that recently got monetized. This channel is monetized. I have Airbnb ABCs. It's laser focused on Airbnbs. Again, I'm 38 years old. I started these when I was 36 or 37, and people are like, well, you're getting on social media. You're not 19. You're not 20. What are you doing? And I know that a lot of people thought they were stupid when I first started, but I had confidence that we could get here. And now these are making money for me, as well as being able for me to share my insights with you and communicate with you all. And it's just another way that I have gone against the grain almost completely, and it's ended up in a big way. And I think that you can see that people who go against the grain and they just take a different path than the masses, end up in much better spots than the people that just follow this like middle class cookbook style of life of just, graduate high school, go to college, get a job, work a miserable job for your entire life, have 2 weeks off. Maybe, after you've worked 40 years for the company, you can have up to 4 weeks off a year, and then retire poorer and older than you could have ever wanted to, and then die in the end. And so my point to this whole rambling of all of these, instances in my life that I have done things differently than the masses is that, if you're on the other side of this camera, start thinking about the things that you can do differently, and just start thinking, what do these things, what do they entail? What are these really good ideas? Obviously there's things that we do need college degree type of people out there for, the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, stuff like that. And so if you have passion for that, go do that. But there are so many companies now that are just hiring based on, do you have a college degree, yes or no? And they don't care. And then they train you from the ground up. So the college degree at this point is just a certification that says that you are able to follow instructions. And this is one of the biggest things that I think that I did right, was not getting a college degree, because I wouldn't need it in my career, in my field, and I wouldn't need it for any of my real estate investing. So I think it was something that would not have paid off for me in the end. And there's a lot of these people out there that this is just the basic thing, in that if you can get away with not doing that, I think it's a big deal. So just keep that in mind, guys. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, just kind of talking to you guys instead of putting it together in some big long, and edit it out and that. But going against the grain and not doing what everyone told me that I should be doing is probably the number one reason why I am set up to retire in my early 40s. And by retire, I mean just out of the W-2 world, out of the people telling me what to do world, because I actually do have a passion for creating things, for creating value, and creating income and wealth for myself, for my kids, and being able to share that with folks. And being able to do that at 42 or ish is going to be a major thing for me, and it's going to be different than probably 95% or more of the population. So guys, give that a thought. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out. I appreciate you guys listening to me on this ramble today about just bucking the mold. Get outside your comfort zone. Do something different than what they tell you to do. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.